everyone, Johnny here from BCRC, and in this how-to video we are talking drive shafts. Mainly we're going to be discussing setting the phase so that your truck doesn't do a horrible little wobble forwards every time you drive. Talking about greasing the universal joints in these drive shafts. We'll touch on that straight away, I guess. It's a quick little subject. So this right here, this is your universal joint. Now if you run these dry, over time you'll get dust in there and it'll squeak and it'll drive you up the wall. You don't want that, it's annoying. If you put too much grease in these universal joints, you will attract heaps of dirt and it will just end up eating away at the uni. So what you want to do is you want to have just a tiny little bit of grease. You can see there it's barely coated, but it's enough to take out the friction. If you've got friction in your universal joint, you'll get squeaky, horrible noises and you won't like your truck as much. So that's the first thing. You can pull these drive shafts apart. You take this retainer clip off, pull the pin out if you want to grease it that way. This one, I've greased straight through the end. You can see there's still a little bit of grease in there, which is fine. Once I put it onto the diff, that'll pretty much just squirt out here. Some of it will come back through to here, so that's fine. So yeah, if you're going to grease your unis, just a little bit. You only want a tiny little coat, just enough to take the friction away, and that'll stop any squeaking. Right, so that's about the grease. The phase. How do you phase your drive shafts? Well, if we have a look at this drive shaft here, we see it's got two big pins. Okay, this one here and this one here. As they sit at the moment, that is in phase. If I rotate this around like this, that's out of phase, and that's what's going to cause your truck to do that horrible rock forwards as you drive. So what you want is you want to swing your drive shaft around so that you have, and this is one of the important bits too, you have the thread hole here for your grub screw. The thread hole here is all in line. These pins are lined up as well. Once you've got this all lined up properly, that's your drive shaft correctly in phase. So it shouldn't do that horrible rock as you go down the trails. Right, so that's quickly that. And shortly I will put these on the truck and I'll give you a look how it looks on the truck, so you can see exactly how to install them, etc. and so on. Before I do that, next on our little drive shaft list here is heat shrink. Now, some of you might know this trick already, some of you might not. If you don't, you're about to learn one of the best tricks in the book. Right, so I've got some heat shrink there and I'll put it over my little retainer clip. You can see that's how it normally looks. Now I'm just going to shrink that up over the retainer clip, like so. That's simple. Now the reason we do this is to prevent these little clips from opening up and letting the pin out. It takes 2 seconds to do it, and that there is enough to save you out on the trails for a long time. Now what I do recommend is, one, have the correct size heat shrink. The stuff I've got there is probably a touch too big. You can also get heat shrink that's got a glue inside it, which is activated when you shrink it. So you light it up, the glue activates, it shrinks, squeezes and glues shut. It is something that you can take back off. You just cut it off with a knife essentially. So that's a top tip for free. All right, definitely do that one. It'll save a lot of swear words out on the trail. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm quickly going to heat shrink the rest of these, and then I'm going to install the drive shafts into the truck and show you how it's all supposed to be done properly. Back in a jiffy. Okay, so we have a heat shrink on our drive shafts. Now it's time to reinstall them to the truck. So I'm going to install the transfer case half first of the front shaft. Then I'm going to install, making sure that they're in phase, I'm going to install the diff side as well. Right, now top tip, I grab my little container here, which has actually got, just in the top of the lid, I have a little bit of Loctite. When you put Loctite on your grub screws or pins, whatever you want to call them, don't put stupid amounts on there. You will regret it. if you have to undo them and it's ridiculously tight, odds are you will strip the inside of the grub screw out and swear lots. Okay, so I'm just going to put this in now. That's simple. That's got the front drive shaft reinstalled. Everything's in phase. So we have our grub screw here. Same spot, grub screw there. Lovely. Now for the rear one. I'll try and tilt the camera up there a smidge. That side. Yeah, I want that truck side. Now you'll notice I'm putting the big tube end truck side. Now I do that so that the tube aims downhill. That way, should we get any dirt in the tube, it'll actually got a better chance of falling out as opposed to staying in the tube here, creating wear and tear and just gathering up dirt. More of a chance of a horrible noise, which we don't want. Right, in that one goes. Just nip those up. They don't need to be stupid tight. I know it's a pretty integral part of the truck, but as I've always said, I would much rather lose the grub screw than I'd much rather lose a grub screw than strip one out, because that's one of those really frustrating things that no one really wants to deal with. Okay, so now let's have a bit of a look. So we have our rear installed as well. Front and rear installed. Our units are greased. We've got our heat shrink on the retainer clips. Everything's in phase. Now it's important to make sure everything is properly in phase here, that this grub screw and this grub screw line up at the front and rear. This grub screw lines up, this grub screw lines up. Everything is all in phase. It's all going the same direction at the same time. So hopefully that helps you guys out with setting up your drive shafts, how to do the grease, and just the little tips and tricks like with the heat shrink, etc., that should stop things coming apart on the trail so that you can just go out, relax and have a good fun run. Okay, thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you're enjoying this little series. Next up on the series will most probably be how to set your steering end points, which is very important. Okay, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Cheers guys.